Also very often underrated in Chippy V, you will see decent amount of flatting with those hands, also the shorter stack sizes. And since he's so Broadway heavy and high card heavy, kind of fold. Yeah, it's not the spot. I would have thought maybe because like we're just having such a disguised hands on so many different boards, but I got a little too. Yeah, I think this should be an easy open. Again, you see something where a lot of players would surely open more of suited King X, suited Jack X, maybe 7-5, like Jack 8 off, Queen 8 off, and for sure I have more like then. Call or jam? I think I would call. Jamming makes no sense. You want to induce jams from. If you jam, people are going to fold 9s and 10s. If you call, they might ISO jam 9s and 10s. You don't want to jam and make them fold ace queen. If you jam, like people likely call ace king, but you will also have the merits of calling and people jamming ace queen over you and thinking you have like 7s or 8s and you're going to be folding. So, and if someone has kings or aces, whatever, the money goes in anyway. But you also like, let's say someone jams and someone else jams. Like if this guy jams, we can actually, I think we might have to fold this than queens. But if any other stack jams, we probably call maybe button as well. But against like, let's say we jam like cutoff jams and small bit jams, like, you know, we call and cutoff jams and small bit jams, sorry, then we can fold queens, right? So there's a bit of like very tiny equity or likelihood that there's a monster setup that we can avoid. I just don't see any point in jamming here. Close between folding and call. I think we want to fold this sometimes. Oh, actually 100%. Wow. Yeah, 6-6 spot, like super tight range. Lots of players behind. We don't really do a lot of bluffing posts, so it's going to be incredibly expensive. And these are huge leaks from a lot of players where I see them like flatting 7s and 8s or like ace 10 suited. And like we even want to folding ace queen off. Just going to adjust here. Fold. Yeah, also heavily underrated these lower suited King X. Shout out to my infamous King 6 suited hand. A7, yeah. I mean, he min raises. We want to play this hand as a reshove against him, and we're committed. Do we have 3-bet folds? No. Not really. Ace Jack suited. What would be the weakest ace suited? I think ace 10 suited would be the weakest I call here. Ace 10 suited, yes, always a good way to check on yourself if you're good, like where are your leaks, where are you really off. 7-6 off, we defend. Yeah, usually in ICM you use lots of polarizing 3-betting, but for blind you take the crap, like ideally having high card and a deuce, as you can see, and then our very top part. And everything in the middle we just call, because his opening range is also very polarized, right? Oh, it's probably also ace king jacks plus. Kings plus. I guess then jacks and 10s we flat. I mean queens here. I'm probably also getting it in close though. Yeah, this is the point, right? ICM really understands it's an awkward spot even with queens, so you just flat and play post flop. Maybe induce jams from them. Let's see, cutoff. No, button versus what under the gun is it? Under the gun 1. Flatting queens? Yeah, we're flatting queens. Makes sense. Just super marginal to get it in with queens. Fold, yeah. Min raise, interesting. It's not making a lot of money to jam here. Like also min raising is just better. Ace check suited, I guess 3-bet or jam. This is very player dependent. I think jamming is a nice default option. 3-bet against a lot of players and then calling it off is nice as well. Yeah, we see jam, but yeah, it's also fine. Super interesting spot. I mean, hijack, we're not opening the tightest range, so we're gonna have a bunch of raise folds. So he has an incentive to bluff 3-bet us. That's important always. I don't hate this jamming. I don't think we want to do lots of calling here. Again, player dependent. Against some players you want, but against an optimal playing opponent who will be aggressive post flop, it's just really hard to realize your equity. Yeah, and we jam this range. Could be a jam, but I think we can take the suited aces. Yeah, if we do so, we take the suited aces. No, just a fold. King queen off, also fold. Yeah. Yeah. I think now. So here, how this works in ICM, imagine like, I think we were supposed to open like what 50%. Now, if you fold your suited aces, which is like in this spot, it's really having a nutted hand. It's like a money printing situation for you. You want to jam this. Like, you definitely need to defend this hand. You see, you cannot, if you start folding your suited aces, you have to have some really sick reasons. If this guy has been really, really tight and you know he's barely bluffing, then fine, go ahead, fold. And this is the right play. But against a solid opponent who will have his bluffs, you're gonna get freaking owned if you start folding suited aces here. Even we need to start adding off suited aces. You see, we open around 50%. Like, we can never fold a suited ace here. Jam. Now, yeah, these are the spots where very player dependent. You see, GTO shows you here, it's tiny bit profitable. That's why we don't want to do it 100%. That's why it takes kings. You know, kings is profitable. That's why we do it 100% of the time. But when it starts making these frequency plays, it's super marginal. Ace king, of course, we jam. We jam our entire range. There's also something, even though we're under the gun and mid stack, we still open like king 9, king jack off, some ace 9 off, ace 10 off. I see a lot of players like becoming really nitty here because they're too afraid. You have to be tight. It's a tight range, 15% for under the gun 1, but like, it's 2 big blinds that you invest, right? And under the gun and 2 is going to be super tight. This guy is going to be tight, and this guy is going to be tight, and the blind's going to be defending tight. So the only 2 players that are supposed to play back at you are cutoff and button, but they also need to find the hand in the first place. So don't get too tight in these spots. Call. Oh, this is close. This is really close. Noted. Screenshot. Oh, yeah, I would just fold. I think we just fold. Yeah, we want to actually jam this quite often. I mean, again, right? We open still like what is it, like 12, between 12 and 13% from another gun here. 12.08. So if you start folding 8, you just fold so much, but that's fine. I think here as an exploit adjustment, just fold 8s, fold 9s, and then if you think 10's gonna be good enough against him, I think ace queen off is a mandatory fold here. Just jam. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I hope I was able to provide you some additional input for final tables. This was more supposed to be for your quick checkup. Imagine you would have to run every single spot by yourself, would take you hours, if not days. And here we can just run through a lot of different spots in no time, analyze a bunch of different spots. I mean, last hand here, ace queen 2, just, yeah, call. Yeah, seen also a lot of spots where you jam, but jamming, calling, both are fine. Yeah, probably makes sense, right? He's not, is he 3-betting king x hands? A little bit. So we don't really want him to see a flop with like king jack off, king 9 suited, king 4, king 3, right? But it's also very ace x heavy that we don't make. So I think potato, jamming, calling is obviously fine. But calling, of course, here should be the superior play. You should give yourself an edge and you play in position. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And what would we calling here? Also, I think it's 10s plus ace king. Wow, even jacks is really marginal. I mean, what is he supposed to jam? Even though he's jamming, like, I mean, it's queens, kings, ace king. I mean, it's a big jam. But I think jacks is just strong enough here. Queen 10s is really close. 10s is really close. But yeah.